Adding a single spice to your morning coffee sounds simple, but the science behind why it might actually help your digestion after 60 is more interesting than you'd think. If you've noticed that bowel movements are less predictable than they used to be, or if you're dealing with bloating, sluggish digestion, or just general discomfort, you're not alone. Digestive changes after 60 are extremely common. Digestive health after 60 is something a lot of us start to think about more, especially when little changes in our routine start to have a bigger impact than before. Here's the thing. Most videos about digestive health focus on one ingredient and promise big results. But what actually works is understanding how your digestion changes with age and then pairing the right tools together. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what the research says about adding ginger to your coffee, not as a miracle cure, but as one practical part of a routine that genuinely supports digestive motion and comfort. I'll explain which form works best, the realistic timeline for noticing a difference, the specific groups who should check with their doctor first, and the mistakes most people make when they try this. By the end, you'll know whether this approach makes sense for your situation and how to use it safely if you decide to try it. Let's start with why your digestion actually changes after 60. So, why does all this matter after 60? Well, your digestive system doesn't stay the same across your lifetime. After 60, several predictable changes happen to almost everyone, and understanding them really matters because they shape what will and won't help. First, your stomach produces less acid. This isn't dangerous. It's just how the body ages. But less stomach acid means food breaks down a little more slowly. Your intestinal muscles also lose some of their strength and coordination over time. This slowing is one reason constipation becomes much more common after 60. Studies show that somewhere between 30 and 40% of adults over 60 deal with constipation regularly, and that number climbs even higher for people over 80. Second, your gut bacteria change. The balance of microorganisms in your colon shifts with age. Some of the bacteria that help move waste along become less abundant. You have fewer of the microbes that produce short-chain fatty acids, which are signals that tell your colon muscles to contract. Third, you typically move less. Physical activity naturally declines with age for most people, and your colon really does respond to movement. Regular activity is actually one of the strongest predictors of good digestive function. And, fourth, this one really surprises people. Many medications that older adults take can actually slow digestion. Blood pressure medications, pain relievers, certain supplements, and even some over-the-counter antacids can reduce how quickly things move through your system. So when people ask, how do I improve my digestion after 60? The honest answer is that no single food or spice is going to reverse these changes. But what does work is a combination: staying hydrated, eating enough fiber, moving your body, and yes, using spices and foods that have been shown to give your digestive system a gentle boost. That's where coffee and ginger come in. They're not substitutes for the basics. They work alongside them, and the science shows there's a real reason to pair them. What the human evidence actually shows. Let's look at what research actually says about both ingredients, starting with coffee. Because this part often surprises people who think coffee is bad for digestion. Multiple well-designed studies, including research published in the journal Nutrients and reviewed by the Coffee and Health Institute, show that moderate coffee consumption, 3 to 5 cups per day, actually stimulates your colon. Here's the mechanism. Coffee triggers the release of a hormone called gastrin, which increases stomach acid and promotes muscle contractions in your digestive tract. It also stimulates the release of cholecystokinin, a hormone that increases bile production. Bile helps break down fats. In one study, researchers found that regular coffee stimulated colon motility about 23% more than decaffeinated coffee, and 60% more than plain water. For older adults concerned about constipation, this is meaningful. The concern people often have, that coffee causes heartburn or acid reflux, is actually not well supported by research. A systematic review in the American Journal of Gastroenterology found no significant association between coffee consumption and chronic reflux disease in most people. Now let's talk about ginger. The evidence here is a bit more modest, but it's real. Ginger root contains these bioactive compounds called gingerols and shogaols, which have anti-inflammatory and pro-motility properties. A 2024 clinical trial currently underway is evaluating ginger's effects on digestive complaints in healthy adults. Earlier research published through Science Direct and reviewed in the Journal of Medicinal Food shows ginger has a long history in traditional medicine for digestive support, and modern studies are beginning to understand why. In functional dyspepsia, that's the medical term for persistent indigestion, ginger appears to help some people feel better. It doesn't cure anything, but it may ease bloating and discomfort. Some research suggests ginger may support gastric motility, meaning it helps the stomach move food along more effectively. One older study found that ginger seemed to stimulate physical digestion in patients with functional dyspepsia, though effects on overall GI symptoms were variable. So, the honest assessment is this: ginger's evidence for constipation specifically is, well, pretty limited in humans. Most of the research on ginger, it actually focuses on things like nausea and indigestion, not really on moving bowel movements. But, because ginger has anti-inflammatory effects and a long traditional use for digestive comfort, and since modern research is still actively exploring its mechanisms, it's definitely worth considering as part of your routine. When you combine coffee, which, by the way, has solid evidence for colon stimulation, with ginger, which has traditional use and some evidence for digestive comfort, you're basically using two ingredients that work through different pathways. Coffee targets the colon directly. Ginger, on the other hand, works on inflammation and gastric comfort. Together, they really do make sense as a complementary approach. But here's what matters most. None of this works without the foundation. If you're not drinking enough water, not eating fiber, not moving, and not addressing medications that might be slowing digestion, adding ginger to your coffee just won't solve the problem. It's an add-on, not a replacement. The safe, practical method. If you decide to try this, here's exactly how to do it in a way that's safe and actually effective. The amount. When you add ginger to coffee, you're not really looking for a therapeutic dose. You're looking for a culinary amount that's pleasant to taste and provides gentle digestive support. That means about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of fresh grated ginger, or just a small pinch of dried ground ginger per cup of coffee. If you want to be more intentional and use a therapeutic dose, the research supports 1 to 3 grams of ginger daily, taken in divided doses. That's roughly equivalent to 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of fresh ginger 3 times a day. The upper safe limit for most adults is about 4 grams daily. Beyond that, you're more likely to experience side effects. If you're using fresh ginger, just grate it finely and add it directly to your hot coffee. You can add a little cinnamon too, about 1/8 of a teaspoon, if you like the flavor. Let it steep for a minute or two before drinking. If you're using ground ginger powder from your spice cabinet, just add a small pinch and stir well. Alternatively, you can make a simple ginger-infused morning routine. Grate fresh ginger into hot water, let it steep for 3 to 5 minutes, then pour it into your coffee, or drink it separately about 15 minutes before your coffee. Take it with your morning coffee, or within the first few hours after you wake up. The digestive benefits are most noticeable when you're active, and morning is when most people have their bowel habits. Don't take it on an empty stomach if you have a history of heartburn, though most people tolerate it fine with food or with coffee. Give it at least 7 to 10 days to notice any changes. Digestive changes rarely happen overnight. Most people who experience a benefit report noticing a shift in regularity or comfort within 2 to 3 weeks of consistent use. You should also be tracking other basics. Are you drinking at least 8 to 10 cups of water daily? Are you eating enough fiber, 25 to 30 grams per day? Are you moving your body most days? These are doing at least 70% of the work. Ginger and coffee are the final 10 to 20%. If you experience increased heartburn, stomach upset, or other side effects after starting ginger, stop for a few days and try again with a smaller amount, or skip the ginger and keep the coffee. If you develop any unusual symptoms, severe pain, blood in stool, or a major change in your bowel pattern, that's a signal to talk to your doctor, because these can indicate something that needs medical attention. So, ginger is generally very safe for most adults over 60, but, there are specific situations where you really need to check with your doctor first. If you take blood thinners, this is, honestly, the most important one. If you're taking warfarin, aspirin regularly, clopidogrel, or other blood-thinning medications, ginger can have a mild additive effect. At culinary amounts, the small pinch in your coffee, this is almost certainly not a problem. But if you're taking a therapeutic dose of ginger supplement, you should mention it to your doctor. If you have diabetes or take blood pressure medication, ginger can lower blood sugar slightly and may lower blood pressure. If you're on medication for either condition, this isn't necessarily a reason to avoid ginger, but it's definitely a reason to tell your healthcare provider. They may want to monitor your levels. If you have gallstones, it's important to know that ginger stimulates bile production, which can actually worsen gallstone symptoms in some people. So, if you already know you have gallstones, you should definitely check with your doctor first. And, if you're planning to have surgery, you should stop taking ginger supplements at least 1 to 2 weeks before your procedure. Using ginger in your cooking is usually fine, but therapeutic supplements should be paused to reduce the risk of increased bleeding. If you have kidney or liver disease, you need your doctor's approval before taking high-dose ginger supplements. Using ginger in your food is generally safe, but if you're thinking about therapeutic doses, it's best to have supervision. Now, about side effects, most people don't experience anything, but some folks might notice mild heartburn, gas, or a bit of stomach upset, especially in the beginning. These symptoms almost always go away within a few days as your body gets used to it, or if you just reduce the amount. It's a good idea to start with a small amount and increase gradually. And just to be clear, anyone on multiple medications, anyone with a chronic digestive condition like IBS or inflammatory bowel disease, anyone with upcoming surgery, or anyone with kidney or liver issues should really have a quick conversation with their doctor before adding therapeutic ginger. Culinary amounts in your food or coffee are almost always safe. The main caution is with supplements or high-dose powder forms. So, here's what a realistic morning routine might look like if you decide to try this approach. First, wake up. Then, drink a full glass of water, about 8 ounces, before you have anything else. This is actually the first signal to your colon that it's time to get moving. About 15 to 30 minutes later, go ahead and make your coffee. While it's brewing, grate about 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ginger into your cup, or just add a small pinch of ground ginger. Pour the coffee over it, stir, and drink it slowly. If you enjoy cinnamon, you can add a small pinch of that too. Try to drink it within your first hour after waking up. Move your body. A 10 to 15-minute walk, some gentle stretching, or even just a bit of light activity helps your digestive system signal that it's time to move things along. This doesn't have to be vigorous exercise. Even a slow walk helps. Eat breakfast with fiber. Think oatmeal, whole grain toast with nut butter, fruit, or maybe a breakfast with vegetables. And, include some protein too. Your digestive system really responds well to volume and fiber in the morning. Oh, and drink more water throughout the day, at least 6 to 8 additional cups. Do this consistently for, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks before deciding whether it's working for you. What to expect? Well, if you're someone who has slow digestion or occasional constipation, you might notice more regular bowel movements, typically within 24 to 48 hours of starting. You could also feel less bloating or heaviness after meals, maybe slightly softer stools if you've been dealing with hard, difficult passages, and just an improved sense of regularity overall. If you don't have digestive problems now, you probably won't notice anything dramatic, and that's totally fine. You're still supporting the healthy aging of your digestive system. When it's probably not going to be enough, if you're dealing with chronic, severe constipation, like fewer than 3 bowel movements per week, persistent straining, or medication-induced constipation, ginger and coffee are helpful add-ons, but you really need to talk to your doctor. There are FDA-approved medications and proven protocols for chronic constipation that work better than spices alone. So, don't try to solve a real problem with just lifestyle changes. The bottom line, adding ginger to your morning coffee is a small, safe, research-informed choice that might support your digestion. But, it's not a cure. It's not a replacement for water, fiber, movement, or medical care. Still, it's a practical way to use 2 ingredients with actual scientific backing to support the system that's working harder as you age. Your digestive system is honestly remarkable. It doesn't need flushing, or detoxing, or resetting. What it really needs is support, water, fiber, movement, and gentle tools like ginger and coffee that work with your body's natural processes. Try it consistently. Track how you feel. And if you're not noticing anything after 3 weeks, well, that's useful information too. Not everything works for everyone. But for many people over 60, this is one small change that fits into a healthy routine and actually matters.